Well, Argyle are back in Wales for the second time this week. Today, it's the capital, Cardiff, where the aim will be to build on impressive performances in their last two matches. Having got off the mark 7 days ago, Argyle head to the side that are top of the table in search of a first away win of the season. Both Cardiff and Argyle tumbled down to the Championship last season and have enjoyed differing starts. Cardiff are yet to lose, have conceded just the one goal and are looking to stay at the summit this lunchtime. All of the action is coming your way on Argyle TV. Hello, good afternoon. This is the pre-match show on Match Day Live, where two of the sides relegated from the Championship last season meet in Cardiff today. After a week of positivity, some new players in, a new star potentially committing their future to the club, and a first win of the season, there will be renewed hope that Argyle can get a bit of momentum going heading into the colder autumn and winter months. Both Cardiff and Argyle replaced their head coaches in the summer, both tasked with the aim of getting their sides back into the Championship. And although this is still early on in the season, it has a feel about it that it could be quite important. Match passes, both audio and video, are available to purchase from our website now. Head to pafc.co.uk for all of the details. Right, well, joining me in the studio ahead of today's game and guiding us through it all is former Argyle defender Katie Middleton. Katie, great to have you with us. It is I don't want to quite say heavyweight bout in League One, but these are two sides that at the start of the season people would have been saying nailed on for at least a push for promotion.
Yeah, certainly two sides with aspirations to get quickly back out of League One, so obviously slightly different starts to the season so far. Cardiff are flying at the top and haven't lost a game yet, so it's going to be a tricky game today, difficult opposition. But I feel like we're coming off the back of a couple of really good performances. Obviously the result didn't go away on Tuesday night, but you know, performances, players starting to gel a little bit more and things certainly feeling more positive around the club. Yeah,
and that is quite evident, I think, actually. Just hearing, and we'll hear from Tom Cleverley a little later on, but just hearing from him, hearing from Laurent Talay in the week, the kind of noises are, and faces even, just look a little bit more positive, which says a lot, I think, doesn't it?
I mean, even just seeing Tom Cleverley smile after the game here last Saturday, you know, it just, you know, everything he seemed to have seen about him, he's looked a bit glum and down and a bit miserable, but that just, you know, gives that positive feel around the club, and players, coach and staff sort of thrive off that. So like I say, hopefully that's kind of given us the kickstart that we needed to really push on.
How encouraged were you as well by the way in which Argyle played on Tuesday? You know, backing up Saturday's win, where it was, you know, it wasn't perfect, was it? There were still areas in that game where you thought, no, they could do better there, whatever. But Tuesday was almost like a 2 steps forward, I think.
I feel like the most pleasing thing has been the defensive side of stuff. You know, we conceded goals left, right and centre last season. First 4 games of this season, you know, we're conceding goals from all over the place. So, you know, to win the game here on Saturday 1-0, keep a clean sheet, probably the most pleasing thing about the whole game. You know, Blackpool probably had majority of the possession in the second half, but you know, we stood firm and didn't really concede that many chances. Likewise on Tuesday at Swansea, they had most of the possession, yet we looked solid. You know, yes, they had a couple of opportunities, but we had plenty of opportunities ourselves on the counter. So, I think that's the most pleasing element, is we seem to have got a little bit of shape off the ball, a little bit more resilience defensively, and that's what's going to stand us in good stead now to push on and hopefully see some more attacking football at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. That defensive kind of stability probably helped by the fact that Alex Mitchell there has come in the last couple of games, made a big difference. Quality at this level, obviously having been promoted last season. Brendan Wiradu adding to it as well by slotting in the defence midweek. But what is the side that Tom Cleverley has gone for today? He did mention that Tuesday's performance had given him a few headaches, and he has rung a few changes. Brendan Wiradu, for example, scoring, keeps his spot in the centre of that defence. It is just a couple of changes for Argyle. Him coming in is one of them, and Eamon Benarous coming in is the other. Galloway dropping to the bench. Amici out altogether with an injury. You'd imagine that Benarous would play in that higher role, just looking at the other personnel that is available. Thoughts, Katie, on how we're lining up today?
Yeah, I think it looks like a really solid lineup. I think Matty Sorinola certainly, I think, again, performance on Tuesday night was up there with one of the better performers, so definitely deserves his chance coming back in. Again, Wiradoo looked great coming in. Looked quite assured in that centre-back role, playing alongside. And I think Mitchell will give him that confidence and that kind of bit more experience to play alongside. I'm more excited about seeing Benarous playing slightly higher up the pitch. I think we've seen glimpses of what he's able to do and what he's capable of on the ball. So to have him doing that in our attacking third rather than our defensive third is going to be exciting today.
Yeah, and it could be something that Laurent Talai could be able to feed off. He hasn't got his goal yet, but we've seen in the two performances he is a threat, isn't he?
Definitely, yeah. And I think he's got different sort of strings to his bow. He can be that player that runs in behind, causes the defence problems, but he can also drop in and he can link up play quite well. And when you've got players, coming off either flank like Barley Mumba and Benarous will do, Caleb Watt's probably sitting in behind them. You look at that front four and think there's some really good players in there who can cause Cardiff problems. So, yeah, I think Talai's a really good addition to the side and will certainly bring lots of attributes and hopefully once he gets off the mark with that first goal, I think he'll be flying.
Yeah, and that is, we saw it there, the chance he had 10 minutes into his debut was golden. But he had one cleared off the line on Tuesday night from a header at the near post when he came on. He did score his penalty in the penalty shootout. It feels like it will happen quite quickly, doesn't it? He seems to get a lot of chances when he's playing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of credit to him. He gets himself into the right areas where he can cause the opposition defence's problems. So, I think, like I say, an exciting player. I think he's had a pre-season. He started the league with Port Vale anyway, so it's not like he needs to get his fitness up. He just can come in and hit the ground running. And he got minus the miss, from last weekend, but he gets himself into those areas and he'll get plenty of opportunities to score. So, and he's got the quality to put them away. Yeah,
just at the back, I want to get your perspective on it as well. I mentioned the kind of introduction of Mitchell. You've kind of spoken about how he and Wiradoo can actually complement each other quite a lot. Wiradoo maybe being, he's played in midfield. He's got the ability to play a bit more. That does seem like it is quite a nice compliment.
Yeah, and I think Mitchell's one of those defenders who'll head things. He'll get himself in the way of stuff. He'll block shots, and I think having someone alongside him who's, as you say, probably technically a better player. I think Wiradoo's probably got slightly better legs on him in terms of a bit of pace as well to sort of complement each other as well. So, like I say, Wiradoo looked really assured on Tuesday when he played, and he's had an indifferent start to his season here or his tenure here. So I think he's starting to find his feet a little bit as well, and hopefully they can start to build up those little partnerships all over the pitch. And I think that's probably what's been lacking. The side has changed a fair bit in terms of suspensions, injuries, that kind of stuff. So now that we're starting to get a few injured players back, you start to build those relationships a bit better, understand how each other move and positioning and stuff. So I think that's starting to sort of click a little bit now, hence why we're seeing better performances.
Yeah. Cardiff then, they've had a couple of injury problems. Their goalkeeper Trott was 50-50. Turnbull and Robertson definitely out. As you can see, Nathan Trott has made it, so he will continue in goal where he's been impressive since arriving on loan in the summer. Two changes made by Brian Barry Murphy as well. Up front, Salek comes in, who scored against Argyle at Home Park last season for Callum Robinson, who drops to the bench. As I mentioned, Turnbull out injured, so it sees Joel Colwill, brother of Ruben, come in to the midfield. Two brothers on the pitch. Ruben, captain's armband. The stats are there to be seen, Katie. They've been impressive so far.
Yeah, as a whole squad, they've been impressive. You don't sit top of the league after 5 games having had a rubbish start to the season. So, the fact that they've only conceded 1 goal so far, I think Trott's had a big say in that. Made some really good saves away at Luton last weekend, I think, and kept them in the game at times. So, from sort of front to back, and they've kept the majority of their squad together from last season, which I think again has kind of allowed them to sort of hit the ground running, and completely the opposite to Argyle, where it's essentially a completely new squad.
Yeah.
It's taken us that time to sort of get everyone in and sort of bonding and gelling together, whereas they've been able to carry on from last season, albeit obviously in a slightly better run of form than they were at the end of last season.
Yeah, one of those players, Ruben Colwill, is someone that I think you probably have to keep an eye on. He's already got a couple of goals this season. He's a beautiful player to watch, I feel, whenever I've seen him in the flesh. Yeah,
because he's a quite a big lad, but he's got really good feet. He can strike the ball well, as you can see from the images here, and he gets himself into those areas where he can cause teams problems, and in that little pocket behind the front man where he can pick up that space, and not only goals but assists, and he's a very intelligent footballer as well, who can, like I say, find those little areas that can cause the opposition problems. So certainly a player today that Argyle are going to need to pick up. I think when we played away last season, we afforded him way too much space, and it allowed him to run the game, and he absolutely annihilated us that day. So we need to certainly do better in terms of getting close to him and minimise the spaces that he finds.
Yeah. Are you surprised that no Championship clubs thought they might, at least try and prize him away from there?
Yeah, I am surprised. I think he's good enough to play in the Championship, certainly. And when you stand out in a side who are struggling, I think that says it all as well. So, the fact that nobody has kind of snapped him up is, maybe a little bit of surprise, but I'm sure Cardiff will be almightily pleased to keep hold of him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Captain's armband on today as well, which maybe is a little nod for that. Let's hear from the two coaches now. We'll start with Argyle, Tom Cleverley. He sat down with me on Thursday to preview today's game. After another trip to South Wales, just a few days after our last one.
Yeah, and that's one of our shorter trips. So travel's no real obstacle this time. 12:30 kickoff, which is a little bit different, but I'm sure we'll, even though it's an away fixture, we'll feel the full force of our away supporters, and they'll travel in numbers on Saturday. Yeah,
is it fair to kind of say that it's felt like a really positive week, and a bit maybe the last week or so?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the last 3 performances, late in Orient we didn't do enough with the ball to win the game, but they've been consistent performances. They've been controlled, whether that's with or without the ball. We've looked in control. So we're getting some consistency in our game. Obviously the addition of the new faces, and the introduction into the team of Alex Mitchell and Lauren has been a real positive, along with our first league win and a massively positive performance at Swansea on Tuesday. Yeah,
people say it a lot in sport, football particularly, but momentum's such a kind of a big thing, and to have kind of at least equalled, maybe even built on the performance from Saturday into Tuesday is a good thing. And then obviously the aim will be to do it again, I'm guessing.
Absolutely, and the signs are there that we're seeing some of our work come out now. It was never going to be quick with the 14 coming in, or 13 or 14 in and 14, 15 out. It's going to take time for those players to not just get used to me, but get used to the new environment that they're working in, I think. So now that looks like it's becoming more and more settled.
How confident are you we can keep going in that sort of upward trajectory?
I'm always confident. I see the training levels, I see the standards, I see the preparation. I'm always confident that whatever game it is, we approach that, we have a game plan, and we have the players to carry that out to win the game. So I'm always confident.
As a coach, it must be pleasing when you see, as Thomas said there, the things you work on and you need to improve on, then be implemented in matches. That must be one of the best things, surely.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, we spoke about it, but the turnover of players and trying to get essentially a whole new squad of players playing the way that you want them to play is a really tricky thing, and it takes time. It takes time to implement what you want. It takes time for the players to understand their role within the system that the manager wants you to play. So they obviously work hard on the training ground. It's starting to show in games now as well, which is the most important thing. You can do as much work as you want on the training pitch, but if it doesn't start to come to fruition on the pitch on match days, then it's kind of pointless. So he'll be really pleased that they're starting to see signs of things sort of coming together and players understanding the way he wants them to play, and as he said, getting control in games, which is a big thing for Argyle. And control, as mentioned, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, isn't just necessarily keeping the ball and being in possession of the ball and what most people would think. It is just being kind of as you want to be in a match, and that can be just out of possession, conceding the ball but not conceding chances. Yeah, definitely. And even out of possession, you can control what the opposition do with the ball. You can force them in one direction. Probably if you've done your research, you'll understand how they like to play, what patterns of play they like to set up in, and you can kind of counteract that by your shape off the ball and your willingness to press at the right times. And again, that takes understanding of how each other works and taking cues from players who, do we press off somebody's body shape or how do we go, and picking the right moments to do things, picking the right moments to be aggressive, picking the right moments to just sit in, drop off and let the opposition have the ball. So those are the kinds of things that he's talking about when he's saying about getting control in these games. And obviously, yes, it would be nice for us to have possession of the ball lots and control the game that way, but it doesn't always happen, and you'll come up against opposition who will have more possession than you, probably the likes of Cardiff today, who like to get the ball down or a possession-based side, but it's about minimising chances you concede off the back of that. Yeah, they absolutely will. Brian Barry-Murphy is one of those coaches that has grown up in the school of Manchester City. He's in his first senior job since 2021. Here are his thoughts ahead of today's game.
Plymouth Argyle, a team like yourself who came down to this division but haven't perhaps adapted as well as you guys have. Has that surprised you at all that they've not been up there, that they've had a difficult start to the season? No, for the last 24 hours we've been studying them pretty intensely, so once the game finished on Tuesday, all of our focus shifts to that, and they look as if they have clear qualities and are going to be an exceptional difficult test for us. So our focus is on now preparing. This afternoon we're going to train, and then tomorrow in what we anticipate is going to be a cracker of a game. Really, they look a really talented team, really good individual players, and look really dangerous. And they play probably a bit different to what we face. We faced a lot of teams who play back five, unless they change. And Tom does something different. We've seen them play with a back four and stuff. So it'll be a really good test of us, and again, they're excited about. And in fairness, they gave Swansea a good game down the road, didn't they? A championship team on Tuesday. So that shows that they have got quality. Yeah, I think I haven't seen their games from pre-season. I've seen their recent games, and it's clear their quality is evident, and they're a team that's going to be at the top of the table. So for us to test ourselves on Saturday against that level of opponent is good. And just finally, Brian, Plymouth at home. I mean, the fans are so excited. They're buzzing at the moment. They're absolutely delighted with the way the results, obviously, but just the way that the team is playing at the moment. It's a brand of football that's got everyone there. The edge of their seats. Does that please you that they are able to give the supporters that sort of feel-good feeling? Yeah, probably the most important thing is that we want all of our supporters as much as possible to come to the game expecting to be excited, and we're going to play a team on Saturday who's a very, very good team. Like I just said, we're very dangerous players, but as long as our players produce the type of performance that they have done with the energy that they have done and the skill, then we may win or we may lose, but we can guarantee our supporters that we'll be giving absolutely everything for them on that day. And in the days where you lose, you can't have any arguments based on what the players can produce. He's clearly got a style, philosophy. He had it at Rochdale actually. I remember Argyle playing Rochdale when he was there, and they were a team that liked to knock it around and pass it. And obviously coming through the system at Man City, and that last answer, the fans of Cardiff are clearly loving what they're seeing from Brian Barry-Murphy's team. Yeah, and I think at the end of last season there were a lot of complaints from the Cardiff fans about the style of football that they were playing, and not getting the best out of the players that they had. So he's obviously come in and changed that style of play, changed that philosophy, and is starting to get
the best out of the players that he's got available to him. You know, a lot of who, as I say, were there last season. So again, it's for them. It's, you know, getting used to that different style of play. But you know, the fans, I'm sure, will be buzzing to see some good quality football and, as we said, like possession-based football there. And I think for me, it's how Cardiff convert that possession into more goal-scoring opportunities, which is the thing that will probably push them on again as the season goes on.
But at the minute, they're not conceding, Katie. No. So they only really need to score one, maybe two in the game, and they look like they'll be winning matches like that.
And I think sometimes, you know, when you start the season reasonably well, when you're only maybe winning 1-0, you know, you think, how long can you keep doing that? Where, yes, they've had a really good defensive record so far, but, you know, there'll probably come a point where things will sort of fall down a little bit. So then when you are conceding more, can you then go and push on to the next level and like I say, create more, take those chances, use the ball a little bit better in the final third? Hopefully that isn't today. But, you know, that's kind of where they'll obviously be looking to go. You know, they want to keep doing what they're doing defensively, you know, keep a sound foot in and not concede many. And then you haven't got to score many at the other end to win your games.
Yeah. What are you wanting from Argyle today? What are you wanting to see?
I think what we've been talking about, just us being organised. As I say, I think Cardiff will probably have the majority of the possession, but you know, can we be organised, and then how do we use the ball when we win it back? How quickly can we counter? Can we get those sort of 3 or 4 attacking players in the right areas higher up the pitch? You know, to create those opportunities for Talai, for Watts in those areas. But yeah, being nice and structured and, you know, getting the spaces between the units right, making sure you shut out their kind of key players, and trying to be organised off the ball as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, right. Let's find out what is going to happen. It was bad memories, obviously, from the Cardiff City Stadium last season. Argyle will be hoping to go a lot better this time around. Match passes, if you haven't got them already, are available on our website, pafc.co.uk. Click on the Argyle TV tab and you can get your pass from there. Let's hand across to South Wales then. For the second time this week, our commentary team at the Cardiff City Stadium, Rob McNichol and John Bez-Wetherick. The game is up next.